All right, so this brings us to number 18, and we are getting slowly to the end of this. So number 18, this is something that everybody can do in the class. What we know is that we've got this absolute value. We need to solve it, and we're going to isolate this absolute value. So what we're just going to do is divide both sides by -5, not a big deal. So we get that 3x minus 5 absolute value is equal to 2. Now here's the thing. Absolute value, if I told you, thought bubble over here, okay? If I told you the absolute value of x was equal to 2, you would tell me, oh, well, x is equal to plus or minus 2. It's either positive 2 or negative 2. Put the absolute value, makes it positive. Same thing with this expression. I'm going to continue the problem down here, and I'm going to give myself some more space. So, oh, I have old stuff down here too. All right, so what you're going to do with the knowledge that we just talked about, the fact that x is equal to plus or minus 2 in that situation, it tells me that 3x minus 5 is equal to plus or minus 2. How do you do that? Those are two separate problems. So you got 3x minus 5 is equal to a positive 2. 3x minus 5 could also equal negative 2. Solving this bad boy is pretty simple. Adding 5 to both sides, we get 3x is equal to 7. X is equal to 7/3. Over here, subtracting, oh yes, I'm sorry, I thought I did it wrong. Then we get 3x, add that over to the other side is equal to 3. Get it? Negative, positive, 5, blah, 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 blah. So we get those two answers. So the answer to number 18 is actually two different answers. Got it? Good. All right, let me erase all of this. And let's get started on this next guy, on number, okay, so the first thing I want to do is basically just copy this down. So I see I have a proportion, right? And I hope you guys, I'm doing number 19. I hope you guys remember that we can deal with proportions by cross multiplying, okay? So I'm going to cross multiply here. And when I do so, I get this. And now I have to FOIL this out or do that extended distributive property. And after joining like terms and doing all that good stuff, I get this. This is a quadratic equation. To solve a quadratic equation, we are required to either use the quadratic formula, do something called completing the square, which we haven't discussed, or factor, which only some of us have discussed. So we're going to go for the quadratic formula just because it's something that we have been working on, that we've talked about today. So what I do is, before we can use it, we need to make sure our equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and we need to determine what a, b, and c are before we can put it in the quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. And so at this point, let me make that a nice. So at this point, what we are going to do is make sure everything is equal to 0. So I'm going to move this over to the other side. So we get this, and now we can actually use our quadratic formula. And of course, if you know how to factor, factoring will probably be easy, and you could probably do it relatively simply. Again, that's chapter, that will be chapter 8 for those of you who are interested in trying to figure out how to do it a more direct or easier way. However, this is fine. X is equal to negative b. The opposite of b is a positive 6 plus or minus 36 minus 4 times 1 times a negative 45, right? All of that over 2 times 1. The next thing that we need to do, let me get a little bit more space, is to simplify. And when we simplify, we get something like this, because we get 216 is what happens when I multiply all these together and then add that to 39. And I'm adding because I got a negative times a negative, which gives me a positive. And so this is kind of another corner of stuff. You could actually stop here. This is an answer. It is not the most simplified way. Without a calculator, it would be hard for us to simplify this. There's a way to simplify radicals. We'll talk about it. This is going to be found in like chapter 10, but we'll talk about it before you guys leave off for high school. So it's 6 plus or minus. This could actually be written as 6 root 6 over 2. And I'll tell you why. Because 216 is equal to 36 times 6. And I can take the square root of 36, which is 6, but I can't take the square root of 6, so it's left inside, right? You guys see that? If you don't, that's okay. We'll talk about it. So this is a convenient answer that you would leave it in if you have no calculator or anything to do in terms of solving. Let's go ahead and look at number 20 and number 20 through 24. All right, so here in number 20, we've got a problem that looks like it's totally from chapter 6. The school sold 300 tickets for a school play and collected this amount of money. Student tickets cost $3, and adult tickets cost $5. How many students attended the play? I'm not going to do the problem for you. I think I'm going to set up the equation and let you guys figure it out on your own, just so we can save time, so I don't make like a 5th video. So let S be the number of student tickets, always necessary to define your variables, and of course A is the number of adult tickets. Adult tickets. I'm going to write the word tickets here and here. Now that I have that displayed, or defined I should say, I'm going to look for the number. The first thing we're going to talk about is just the number of the tickets, 300. So you know S plus A has to be 300. All right? Not 3,000, Dion, just 300. Okay, and the next thing you need to do is to observe the cost. So if you know that it costs $3 for a student ticket, that would mean that 3 times each student ticket plus, and it costs $5 for each adult ticket, 5 times each adult's ticket is going to give you, I should use a capital A to be consistent, is going to give you the amount of money that was received. So here is your system of equations, and I think I'm going to let you guys solve it. And so this is your answer, and I know you guys can find that on your own, so I'm going to just leave you with the answer so you can check. All right, looking at 22, we've never expressly done a problem like 22 before. We've never actually done one like it, but this is totally within your wheelhouse, and this is a lot of stuff that you already know. The difference between two numbers is 29. So we know we're dealing with two numbers. Let's call one X, and let's call the other one Y. They talk about larger and smaller, so let's let X be the larger number and Y is the smaller number. Okay? And now we can set up our equations. It says the difference between the two numbers is 29, so that means X minus Y is equal to 29. 5 times the smaller number is subtracted from twice the larger, the result will be 1. If I take 5 times the smaller one, subtract it from 2 times the larger one, the result's going to be 1. So that sounds like 2X minus 5Y is equal to 1. Let's think about why. I'm taking 5 times the smaller number and I'm taking it away from 2 times the larger number, and I'm going to get 1. Again, this is a situation where I think you guys can solve it. I'm going to give you the answer in a second, so if you want to try it on your own, pause me. And here are my answers. Let's look at the next problem. So in 22, we got these 3 people running for election. Their votes were cast in a ratio of 4, 3 to 2 respectively. So we know that 4 deals with Sam. So for every 4 Sam got, Mary got 3, Bill got 2. There were 2,178 votes cast. How many votes did Mary receive? So we are concerned about this number here, how many she got. Here's how it breaks down. 4x plus 3x plus 2x equals 2,178. I want you to think about this equation. What this means for each of the each of the 4 that Sam has, Mary has 3, Bill has 2. So that means however many times that ratio happened would be X amount of times. I know that sounds weird. Our answer isn't X. Our answer is going to be this term. Let's go ahead and solve this. Joining like terms together, I recognize that this gives me 9x is equal to 2,178. Dividing both sides by 9, I get that x is equal to, what is x equal to, people? So I get x is equal to 242, but that's not the answer. Remember, that's just 242 times that this event happened, where this one got 4, this one got 3, this one got 2. How many did Mary get? We need to take the 242, multiply it by 3. 726 votes for our girl Mary. All right, let's look at another problem. So in number 23, we have a class where we've got 24 boys and 16 girls. 75 of the average was 75 for a particular test. That would be like, in a sense, almost everybody getting like 75, or that would be like, if everybody got 75, then the average would be 75. I want you to keep that concept in mind as we look at this. The mean of the girls' score was 72. So in a way, we can think that there were 16 people who got 72. What was the mean of the boys' score? So we know that to find the mean, we need to have the total sum divided by the number of people. How many people would this be? 24 plus 16 is 40, so there's 40 students here. And we know that the answer has to be 75 if I were to add up all their scores. Since I already know, I don't know the girls' individual scores, but what I do recognize is that they all got in the area of 72, or their average was 72, I can write 16 times 72 to be the sum of all the girls' scores, okay? The sum of the boys' scores we don't know. We don't know the sum of the boys' scores, nor do we know the average, but here's what we can do. We know that 24 times whatever their average is, let's call it y, is going to give me what will be the sum of the boys' score, and I can continue. So I'm just going to solve this equation. Multiplying in here and multiplying both sides by 40, we end up with this. Then we get this, and getting 24y equals 1848, or 1848, yields y is equal to 77. And what did we say y was? Well, y would be the average of the boys' scores. So now we've got this final question, number 24. I'm going to erase everything so we can get started. This final question, number 24, is talking about angles. So we've got a first angle, I'm going to call it x. Second angle, we'll call it y, and third angle, we'll call it z. So the measure of the second angle, and really, to be a good mathematician, I should say x is the measure of the first angle, y is the measure of the second angle. So we're talking about angle measurements here. The measure of the second angle of a triangle is 7 more than twice the measure of the first. The third angle is 15 less than the first. Find the measure of all the angles. So here's what I know. First of all, don't forget what you know. You know that x plus y plus z has to equal 180, because that's the interior angle sum of a triangle. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, and I'm going to get rid of this little 0 here because it looks bad. Let's do that. But that was supposed to be 180 degrees, but it looked like something else. All right, so now that we've gotten that together, let's talk about this. The measure of the second angle of the triangle, which we defined as y, is 7 more than twice the angle of the first one, is equal to 7 more than twice the measure of the first angle. So that's what that equation looks like. The third angle is 15 less than the first angle. So the third angle, z, is equals 15 less. That means x minus 15 less than the first angle. And since we said that was the first angle, that's what we got. Find the measure of all 3 angles. So we've got 3 equations that we can work with. Now, there are many ways to approach this, but this is 3 equations, 3 unknowns. I think the best way for us to handle it would be substitution. And so what we're going to do is, I see that y can be replaced in this equation, and I would have an x term here. I already have an x term here, and then I'd have z replaced in this equation using an x term. So then I'm going to solve for x and kind of back solve and get the rest. So that seems like my best bet. So going ahead, I have x plus y plus z equals 180. But what is y? 7 plus 2x. What is z? X minus 15. And then I'm joining like terms together. I get x here, 2x here, and x here gives me 4x. 7 and a negative 15 give me a negative 8. Then I have 180. Solving that, I've got to add 8 to both sides. 4x is equal to 188. Divide both sides by 4, I get x is equal to 47. So that's just one angle. This x is 47. If this x is 47, I'm going to go back to these 2 values and substitute 47 in there to get y and z. This looks terrible, but I think that's 32. So y is equal to 7 plus 2 times x. 2 times x is really 2 times 47, which gives me, what's that, 94. 94 plus 7 gives me 101. You can tell me if I'm wrong, people. You know I get confused. And then 47 minus 15, if I subtract that, I think I end up with a 32. And so all of these values should add up to 180. We should feel comfortable. Good luck. Remember, your goal is not to test your way into a grade that's higher than you need to be at this point. Your goal is just to do the very best that you can, and that's all that anybody expects of you. I'm not disappointed if you get into regular algebra, algebra honors, or algebra 2, or geometry, or whatever. Just do your best. I want you to be satisfied, and my goal is for you to be really comfortable with the math that you're doing. I think you guys are all fabulous students. I love you to pieces, and I cannot wait to hear about your first year of high school. Take good care. Bye-bye.